So tonight we dive into the brewing storm surrounding Team India's Border Gavaskar Trophy campaign, which begins in 11 days from now. As the squad heads to Australia for this high-stakes series, all eyes are on two cricketing giants, Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma. Given the recent struggles with form and sharp criticism coming in from Australian captain Ricky Ponting, the pressure is on the whole team, but especially these two gentlemen to lead from the front. Now, in a recent episode of the ICC review, Ricky Ponting openly voiced his concern about Kohli's performance, citing a statistic. Just 2 test centuries in the last 5 years. Ponting stressed that any other player with similar numbers might not have retained their place in the squad. India's head coach Gautam Gambhir quickly came to Kohli and Rohit's defense, questioning Ponting's relevance to Indian cricket. Gambhir has highlighted the resilience, hard work and hunger both players bring to the dressing room, emphasizing that it's this passion that drives them forward. Listen into what the coach had to say.
What does Ponting has to do with Indian cricket? I think you should think about Australian cricket, and more importantly, I've got no concerns whatsoever for Virat and Rohit. I think they are incredibly tough men. They've achieved a lot for Indian cricket and they will continue to achieve a lot in future as well. I think for me, the most important thing is that they still work really hard and they're still passionate. They still want to achieve a lot more, and that is something which is very important. The hunger in that dressing room is incredibly important for me and for the entire group of people as well in that dressing room.
So that's the headline you'll see on your TV channels and tomorrow in the newspaper about how Virat Kohli has been defended by Gautam Gambhir, and fair enough, that's his job to do so. But let's now look at the numbers and try and go beyond this headline. Look at the numbers which Rohit Sharma has posed during the New Zealand tour at home. Runs of 91, not even 1 century, in an average of 15.16. Let's then look at Virat Kohli and how he performed during the New Zealand tour, and the figure is not very different. An average of just 15.5 across 3 matches, totaling 93 runs here. This is what Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have managed to perform. Now, what is the other important statistic here? Let's look at how it has, just in the last 10 innings, in the last 5 test matches that they have played, the 2 test matches with Bangladesh and the 3 test matches in New Zealand, this is what the performance has been. Rohit Sharma has scored just 133 runs. Kohli has performed just 192. The average is 13.3, 21.33. Not one of them has actually come out with a century. Now, finally, I'll bring you the most damning statistic there is. And that brings in the third aspect in this dimension of mess, which is Gautam Gambhir. Virat Kohli's average before Gambhir took over as the head coach was 54.97. His average after Gambhir took over in the matches since then has been 15.5. It's a very similar story of Rohit Sharma as well. Before Gautam Gambhir took over as the head coach, it's 40.0. After he took over, it's 15.16. Evidently, there's something wrong. 5 test matches may be too less of a sample size to figure out what is going wrong, but it's still 5 test matches at home soil. And now we are going in for perhaps the toughest overseas test we have on the calendar, that is the Border Gavaskar Trophy against Australia. Are we in for an absolute pasting? Let's put those across first and foremost to Jatin Sapru. He's, of course, the sports broadcaster you've all seen on your TV screens every time you log in to watch a live telecast of the match. Jatin, thanks a lot for joining us this evening. When you hear Gautam Gambhir's reaction to what Ricky Ponting said, what was your instinctive response?
One part of Ricky Ponting's statement was reported. If anyone really goes through the entire interview that he's given to ICC, this was part of the ICC test review they were doing. They were previewing the Border Gavaskar Trophy. While Ricky Ponting went on to talk about the stats, and let's not forget, I mean, everyone is going to, play mind games as well, but I thought it was just a reaction that came out. He was talking about the stats, and right after the statement, which is trending, was the follow-up, the entirety of the answer, in which he said, but I've said this before about Virat, and I say it now, he loves playing against Australia. He loves playing in Australia. And if there is ever a time for him to turn it around, it would be here. You never question the greats of the game. And he's expecting Virat Kohli to have a big series in Australia. Now, if you report just one part of Ricky Ponting's statement, and put it in a press conference to someone else who may not have entirely read the whole statement. I think if someone just says, is Ricky Ponting commenting on whether Virat should be in the team, yes or no? I mean, in India, you don't really probably want to know that. And I think what Gautam was referring to was just the top bit of the statement that may have been presented to the Indian coach. So if you look at the entire answer of Ricky Ponting, he's not questioned Virat's place. He's in fact said that he's going to be dangerous, and this is where he would turn it around.
But regardless of, let's forget for a second what Ricky Ponting says. The Aussies are known to play mind games before a tour. Does Virat Kohli honestly deserve a place in the current team based on his horrid form for the last few test matches, Jatin?
Yeah, but why should the weight of reputation should not matter in such a big series? The Border Gavaskar Trophy in the test cycle is a highlight, right? This is what we call as the gladiatorial battle. And Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma, post the transition period of the golden era of Sachin, Dravid, VVS, Ganguly, Sehwag, the transition was taken over by Virat Kohli, Cheteshwar Pujara, Rahane, then Rohit Sharma in his second version as a test opener. They have served Indian cricket. You're anyways talking about a lot of inexperience in that squad. Who do you look up to when there is crisis? People who've done it again and again. We're talking about greats of the game in the last 10 odd years. And they wait for such big occasions. Their experience of Australia, their understanding of Australia, their presence for a lot of the youngsters is going to be important. This isn't T20s. This isn't just ODIs. This is Test cricket we're talking about. And one of the toughest series, both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli have gone through a lean patch. I'm not denying that. But when you look at greats and you balance things out, I don't think anyone is questioning or should be questioning their place just as yet or in the near future. But I'm hoping that they turn around the form in this series.
So when will that time come? If now is not the right time to question the place in the test squad, what is the point where you feel that will be the right time to start looking at whether they fit into the future as well? Is it after the Border Gavaskar Trophy based on how that tour plays out, Jatin?
Are we sitting on a list of incredible performers over the last 2-3 years that are staying out of the team because of these two?
Fair enough.
When we talk about this player should be there or this player should be dropped, are we looking at 3 or 4 really worthy contenders fighting for the spot? I mean, since Rohit Sharma, in case he misses out on a test match, we're still not sure who our backup opener is. We're still looking to fill that one spot. Cheteshwar Pujara, Ajinkya Rahane have just recently moved out of the team. You already have Shubman Gill, who's trying to get into the role of a number 3. It's one of the toughest roles in Test cricket. You're looking at Rishabh Pant, who's come back. You don't know whether it's going to be Sarfaraz, whether it'll be KL, whether it'll be Jurel who'll play in the middle order. Yashasvi's on his first tour to Australia. So there already has been movement. This is a team in transition in many ways. You don't want to move to a team where there are 7 newcomers. And also, the clamor would probably grow if there are a lot of worthy contenders who are waiting. So I don't see that them being in the team is keeping any worthy contenders out just as yet. And I don't think we should be talking about their spot in the team right now. After BGT, Team India will have to review where Indian cricket in test matches stands, what the direction in Test cricket is something that will suit to our style. Because the last couple of years, 23, there was a 50-over tournament, white ball cricket. 24, there was a T20 World Cup. So in the last 2-3 years, the focus has been on white ball cricket. And India had to sort of play catch up in that white ball cricket. And we got the results. We made it to the finals of 23. We won the T20 World Cup. I think there's just a bit of confusion, not even confusion. There's probably not enough red ball cricket under their belts. And probably rigorous practice sessions in Australia should turn it around. So I don't think we should be talking about it. Probably a review. What is the kind of cricket? What sort of pitches do we want to play on? In India, just look at the last 3-4 years, 60s and 70s are match-winning contributions. Test matches are getting over in 3 days. There was this one placid wicket which we got in Ahmedabad where Virat Kohli got 100, Shubman Gill got 100. We're also playing on much more livelier wickets where people are not going on to score big. I mean, 300 is a match-winning score in the first innings.
Okay, but since you mentioned Ajinkya Rayana and Cheteshwar Pujara, there is one important aspect which perhaps distinguishes them from Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli. The fact remains that they've shown themselves to not be above going to the ground or once again in the domestic trophies as well. With Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, sources say that they were asked or at least suggested that they may play the Duleep Trophy so that they come back to form. They reportedly declined. And so we have this very crazy statistic that Virat Kohli's last domestic match actually came before Sachin Tendulkar's last domestic match. Do you not see anything wrong there?
I mean, for those guys, yeah, Virat Kohli didn't play in 2012, right? That he last played in 2012. So he didn't play in 13, he didn't play in 14. 14 is when he got the bumper tour to Australia. Struggled in England, but got a big England tour in 18. Scored, I think, 5 to 6 double hundreds back to back series. He wasn't playing domestic cricket even then. I would like for the big players to play domestic cricket so domestic cricket continues to be appealing. Not necessarily that when you play domestic cricket, you're going to get the runs. We did have a couple of players who had come from domestic cricket.
Okay.
Abhimanyu Easwaran also played the 2 tour games against Australia A. He had scored 4 or 5 back-to-back hundreds. He was dismissed for under 20 in 4 innings. There's no guarantee that you play domestic cricket and straight away things will improve. You'd probably need, whole scale. Things were probably different in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, because all biggies used to play a lot of red ball cricket, a lot of domestic cricket, because there wasn't as much white ball cricket that was happening. I would like for the big established players to play domestic cricket so domestic cricket continues to be appealing. For the youngsters, the level of domestic cricket stays up. But for Australia, they opted not to play a tour game. I think it's just about, for these greats, just a lot of practice, lots and lots of practice sessions, and they should get back into their groove.
All right. I have 2 questions for you, Jatin, because my other guests are also waiting for me. First and foremost, are we mentally as a nation ready to address a situation where one of our heroes, one of our idols is no longer at the peak of his player performance and perhaps deserves to be put out of his misery? Because so far, whether it be from Saurav Ganguly to even now, whenever questions are raised about Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli's form, there is an army of angry trolls which come on social media and defend their players, troll the other players. It's almost as if we as a nation, as a cricketing country, are too scared of taking harsh decisions and going against our cricketing gods.
I think there are 2 parts to your question. One is whether what happens on social media or the reaction is right or wrong. The other is what is the message said. Who runs these fan armies? I mean, social media has become actually sometimes a very depressing place, because you're talking about few of the greats who've played together, who served the country together, but their fans pit them against each other, and I find that very unfortunate. Can we mature in our reactions? 100%. But is the nature of that is such that it's not in your hands, it's not in my hands, it's not in the hands of cricketers. And I think even Gautam alluded to it a little bit in his press conference, where he said that there is a lot of heat that's generating on social media, and it should not really affect you personally. So fan reactions, I'm not entirely sure if cricketers should let that get to them. But then it also comes with the other side of the coin, that you take the praise and you take the trolling with a pinch of salt, or you make sure that it does not affect you. If you're okay when even all that overflowing love and affection does not put you on a pedestal, because if that dopamine rush hits you, then there is always going to be a crash as well. So it's, again, I always request fans to be critical, to be clear. It's okay to voice your opinion, but there's sometimes when it becomes personal, it's just not a great sight or a feeling for anyone.
So my final question, Jatin, let's talk about Gautam Gambhir. The speculation coming out from the BCCI review meeting is that if India doesn't perform well in the tests, it's over for him as test coach. He just then becomes limited overs ODI and T20 coach. Do you think it's too early to even consider taking such a decision over someone we've just appointed 4 months ago?
Exactly. I think the answer is in your question. It is early. It is too early. Nobody knows what's happened in the
Yeah.
meeting. No one has come out with an official statement. Uh, as per sources, I don't know what happened in the meeting. I don't think any one of us know. But when you talk about the Indian cricket team, you understand that there will be ripples. There will be uh, it will shake the entire foundation when you lose a series 3-0. But it's not the time to panic. I mean, everybody
Yeah.
takes at least a few months to get the act together, win the trust of the players before you want to maybe make changes. So what I've seen from a lot of people who have done the coaching job, it takes a significant amount of time for that relationship to build, after which you can bring about a change. You inherit a team when you become the coach, and over a period of time, you get to leave your own impression and form your own team and your own style. So I think it will be very early if any such call is taken. I don't know where the reports are coming from. I do not subscribe to the reports, and I don't think any hasty decision will be taken. It's the same bunch of players. We had one really bad series, and we're going for now another very challenging series. And let's just wait for the outcome before quoting sources and expecting wholesale changes.
All right. Jatin Sapru, thanks a lot for joining us on Mirror Now. Appreciate you taking your time out. Let me, without any further ado, go to my other guests who are also joining me. Joseph Hoover, cricketing writer. Nikhil Sharma, sports commentator and author. Ranjit Bajaj, founder of Minerva Cricket Academy. Thank you all, gentlemen, for waiting so patiently. Apologies for coming to you a bit late, but I hope you've all got a lot of very interesting talking points based on what Jatin Sapru had to say. Joseph Hoover, let me begin with you first. An important point which Jatin mentioned is that we can't get rid or think or getting rid of someone like a Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli because we don't really have a lot of people, a lot of senior battle-tested people who are ready to take the mantle, and you can't send a team of absolute newcomers and people with very few little experience to a tour as challenging as Border Gavaskar Trophy. But the last time we went down under, through circumstances, we were reduced to a team that is more inexperienced than the team we have right now, minus Kohli and minus Sharma. And we still ended up winning the series. So it's not necessary that we only need to have big wigs in our team in order to beat Australia, because by that logic, we should have swept down under when we had people like Sachin Tendulkar and Rahul Dravid and V.S. Lakshman in the team.
Yeah, I appreciate what Jatin has said. I absolutely agree with him. And when we talk about India facing a challenge, I look at the other way around. It's actually the Aussies who are feeling the heat. They are more worried about India beating them there. And especially now that we've lost to New Zealand, been a whitewashed year, our boys will definitely be looking forward to doing something better. And having been to Australia on holiday tours, I can say the pitches are going to be a lot more easier for our boys to score there. Yes, on slow tracks, we always struggle. We have seen this for a very, very long time. When the ball doesn't come onto the bat, we struggle to score runs. But when the ball comes on, we are in a different league. When we talk about replacing Virat or Rohit, there's definitely no talent there. Nobody is good enough to take their places at this point in time, definitely. But as you rightly mentioned, there is definitely, like last time when we went with the side, inexperienced side, we beat Australia. So there is always scope. And for me, as a cricket writer, the way I look at it is, instead of people questioning why aren't they retiring, they should be saying, why are you retiring now? So that should be the thing that every cricketer should, be thinking about. He should retire on a high. Now what has happened is, yes, Virat has had a very poor series against New Zealand. So has Rohit. But I'm certain if they work hard, despite not having a tour game, if they work hard in the nets and have simulation sessions there, they can really turn around. But here again, what hurts me is a player like Virat, when somebody is questioning him so many times. If you remember, some time ago, before he made a comeback very strongly, there was a question raised, why is Virat there in the team? But he returned with a big 100. Then he said, yes, I'm still around. Definitely
Yes.
he's not the Virat that we knew so many years ago. But let's not condemn a player who served so much for us. But the way I look at it is, see, I've seen some of the players being asked to go. That was very, very, painful. Imagine a player of the caliber of Kapil Dev, who won the World Cup for us in 1983, was asked to go. And I was reporting that match in Haryana.
No, but Mr. Hoover,
When Azhar
here's
shared
where
a
I
few things
disagree.
with me, I was hurt.
Here's the entire crux, here's the entire crux of
Yeah.
my question which I'm asking you. Firstly, let me preface it. I am not a critic of Rohit Sharma or Virat Kohli. My simple point is, as a journalist, I'm asking this question is, and maybe let me get in Nikhil Sharma on that as well. Nikhil Sharma, why are we so afraid of, I mean, yes, every athlete wants to leave on a high, but the fact still remains 9 out of 10 athletes get that high wrong. They always think there's one more match, one more race, one more fight within them. And unfortunately, they often have to be pushed out rather than go out on a high. Why are we so guilty of even preparing ourselves to take that step if necessary? Ultimately, there were bigger icons, bigger stars who have come into Indian cricket and they all were phased out. Some of them had to be pushed out rather than just be gently nudged out. But the fact still remains that this is a game which works on performance. This is not a game which works on headline ability, on legacy, and definitely against opponents who do not get bowed down or do not get cowed down by the legacy of people in front of them. Why are we so scared of even addressing this issue?
Well, Ritangshu, there are many parts to that question. The first one, of course, it is that Indian cricket is not what it was 10 years back, 15 years back, maybe, 5 to 10 years back as well. I think we're an aggressive bunch of cricketers now, and much of that stems from Virat Kohli's transition and work with the team in terms of where India stands today as an aggressive cricket team. As far as both Virat and Rohit are concerned, Ritangshu, I don't think it's the right thing to compare both of them together. They're both icons, but if you really look at Virat's red ball form compared to Rohit's red ball form, they're apples and oranges, really. You have somebody who's played about 100, 125 odd test matches, about 210 innings, has about 29 centuries, about 30, 32 half centuries, and Rohit's numbers are almost half. In fact, if you look at it, I think he stands at about 60, 64 odd test matches. So that we're comparing oranges and apples here as far as red ball is concerned. You look at white ball and then suddenly the whole picture changes, because Rohit, in the beginning of his career as well, was predominantly a white ball cricketer. I don't know if you remember, but he was even struggling to make it to the test squad in the beginning of his career. He was in fact batting at 4, 5, 6. So I believe as far as Virat is concerned, he's fit, he's aggressive. Last couple of years, maybe his red ball form isn't that great, but his white ball form, he's really come back into his own. He's had a bad test series, but I think Australia is the right place for him. He's performed there admirably well, and I think it's just too early. It's not about us being scared to call out for him to be axed. I think it is probably premature as far as Virat Kohli is concerned by a long mile. As far as Rohit is concerned, there's always the doubt that he might not play the first test. It's a little bit up in the air as of now. We've also been talking about replacements. Having said that, look, you've got to look at the balance of the squad. Rohit Sharma is the captain of the test squad. Imagine sending a side to Australia and saying, oh, we've just sacked the captain, he's no good. That's not a great sign either. And it's not that he's a bad batsman. I think the kind of aggression that he's shown even in test cricket, we were calling it Rohit ball and, Sharma ball and a lot of these names. These three matches are what have put paid to the entire narrative. Australia might just be the right place. Ritangshu?
All right, let me get in Ranjit at this point. Ranjit, you are someone who helms a cricketing academy at this point. Do you agree with this assessment that we don't have enough people or players to succeed Virat Kohli or Rohit Sharma? Definitely in terms of legacy, we don't have, but legacies are not inherited, they are built up gradually. But in terms of talent, do you think we are shying away a bit from looking at possibly creating the next team a bit? We are a bit too tentative about creating the next generation.
Hi, Tanshu. Thank you so much for having me. I've been listening to all the great panelists you've had, especially Nikhil has made a very pertinent point about not comparing Virat and Rohit in the same boat. I agree with him, but let's just come to the, being devil's advocate, I would like to take the other side, especially trying to hone the grassroots of Indian cricket as well. Where will the next Virat Kohli be found? And where will the next Rohit Sharma be found? This was a question 15 years ago when the entire country was asking us, where is the next Dhoni? Or 20 years ago, where's the next Tendulkar? And we didn't have any answers and the whole country was trying to look for one. And at that time, yes, giving a long rope to all the legends was there. But right in the beginning when Jatin, said a lot of right things, but where he said that where are the replacements, what's the point of having a first-class cricket season where if the top run getters don't even get a shy in? For example, there is a left-arm opening batsman from Tamil Nadu, wicket-keeper batsman from Tamil Nadu, Jagdishan. There's a left-arm opening batsman I was looking up, and in the total world, he's at number 6 in the world cricket right now in first-class cricket. And he's T.D. Agarwal. And he's 29, but his average is 90, around 85, 89 this year. Scored over 1,200 runs. And Joe Root and plus one more is the only guy who's above him in first-class cricket. So when is it that you're going to blood somebody new? Like Nikhil just rightly said, the last time we sent a team to Australia, we beat them. And nobody expected us to win. And they were saying we are too inexperienced. But what happened? We beat Australia and Australia with an inexperienced team. Inexperience only gets experience when they are allowed to play. Otherwise, they'll remain inexperienced. The next time there's an Australia series, we'll say, oh my God, we don't have any players with experience in Australia. Yeah, because you didn't send any new blood in. And when are you going to give new blood chances in? How long of a rope are you going to give the legends? So if you're a cricketer, doesn't matter when it's 19, 20, मतलब 19-20 जैसे हिंदी में कहते हैं. If you are given 10 matches and you're going to be given 10 matches without any pressure, a good cricketer will get 1 century in those 10 matches because he doesn't have any pressure. If you put him on the chopping block, the same cricketer probably will not be able to do so. Now, the whole thing is of performing under pressure. And the first thing which I heard Gautam Gambhir when you played that statement out was he's saying that he's okay because the hunger is there. But what do you think? Who do you think has more hunger? Is it somebody who's been there, done it all, and yes, he's trying to create a name and legacy for himself? Or the guy who's been scoring tons and tons of runs in first-class cricket thinking that, okay, if I am in the top 5 performers for the last 5 years in Indian Test cricket, red ball cricket in the domestic scene, Duleep Trophy, Ranji Trophy, I will get there. Now, if you keep doing this and you keep giving a long run, and I'm talking about Rohit Sharma, he hits 150 or 250s and maybe it's a very tough wicket. You'll say, oh my God, he hit a 50 in Perth and we'll have to give him a longer rope and give him proper test matches. Then he comes back to India and plays on a banger of a wicket like Ahmedabad and he scores a century because that's what they did because it was a flat wicket. So what about the players who've actually gone there, done that, and they were told from the very beginning, you perform in domestic cricket, we will select you for Indian cricket. There was no, and now when you say there is no new Virat Kohli, I'm sorry to say there are hundreds waiting in the wings. Same with Rohit Sharma. Because our grassroots system has become so good that we have so many performers. We are able to put up a different team for test ball, for white ball and for T20. And I think that's the way it should be. Now, on the other part, where Virat is concerned, is because of his reputation in Australia, the longer rope has to be given. But the longer rope should end after this. If he is not going to perform in this, doesn't matter what kind of a legend you are. You are a legend, you will remain a legend if you know how to make sure you give chances to others to perform as well. And what do? Legends go back, grind, and never give up. They perform and hit a double hundred in first-class cricket. The moment he hits a double hundred or 100 in first-class cricket, he just needs to hit
Exactly.
one. For example, a new guy will have to hit 10 hundreds before get a chance. Virat Kohli goes back in 5 matches, he hits one double hundred or 100, he'll get back into the team and he'll walk back into the team. So why not? Take it on yourself.
Fantastic points made. I personally, I agree with every single one of what you said, Ranjit. But Nikhil, would you like to come in and respond to some of those points which Ranjit made?
No, I think they're very fair points, Ritangshu. Truth be told, you always want young people to come in and play. It's India's overall system of cricket is very robust. Having said that as well, I do want to go back to what Jatin said earlier on the show as well. Is of course there are lots and lots of young boys that we brought into the team in the last few years that seem to be doing reasonably well. See, also with cricket, our memory seems to be of the last series, the last game, and everything else kind of seems in the real distant past. If it's only Australia that we're looking at, we've done reasonably well there in the last 2 series in Australia, and maybe I think we shouldn't be feeling the fear really as far as Australia is concerned. It seems that because of the New Zealand series, there's an underlying fear in everybody that this Australia series is going to be bad, and then we are going to take some stern actions, and then we are going to renew everything as far as cricket is concerned. I don't think
precisely the body
it's
language
unfounded.
coming in. Why, when we say that we need someone like Virat Kohli because the Aussies fear him, it makes it sound as if we are the ones more scared of Australia rather than they are. I mean, from what I know of the Australians, they are used to dealing with the best players from across the world. They do not get intimidated that easily. Yet we are the ones who have to resort to trump cards. Like, "Yaar, hamare paas
So are
Virat
we.
Kohli hai,
I don't
डरते हैं
think
ऑस्ट्रेलिया से."
India is no longer the. नहीं ऐसा नहीं. I think India as a unit, right? This is not the 80s, this is not the 90s, where the fearful Steve Waugh, Alan Border, Mark Taylor, Mark Waugh, Shane Warne. I don't think they're good. They're a good team. They're a competitive team. They're world champions in in both formats, really there. But I don't think there's anything for India to feel, or for that matter, any team to feel a fear of sense. I think India plays a very good brand of fearless cricket now for the past maybe a decade odd. As I said when I started talking, that a huge part of that credit goes to Virat Kohli. He's brought in that new attitude, and while some of us might say he's spoiling the gentleman's game, he's a little uncouth, but I think he's given it back to the Australians like they did in the early part of the 90s or the 2000s as well. So
no one's denying what Virat Kohli did.
It is pertinent to check how well.
No one's denying how Virat changed the game. But then so did Dhoni in some way, so did Dada in some way. And at one point, just changing the game in terms of aggression, on-field tactics was not enough. You had to perform. I'll bring in Joseph Hoover on a very important point in the implications of what Ranjit also mentioned, Joseph. We have reached a system where there is a two-tier class system where the big wigs at the top will get opportunities after opportunities. They'll need to fail 10 times for someone for questions to be raised about whether they deserve to be there or not. Versus a young, hungry lion at the domestic story who has to perform 10 times at the domestic level, will get just one chance at part of the top and part of the playing 11. That too, if there is a freak injury or for a lower team. And even if that person doesn't perform well in the 1 or 2 chances he's given, he's immediately cast aside. Whereas there's a much longer rope given to the international players or the senior players who never even try to play at the domestic here. Is that disparity a bit too unfair? Because what's the point in having the best domestic feeder system in the country if we don't make it easier and smoother for them to reach the top and stay at the top? A simple example being batting orders here. Every time there's a tour at which Virat Kohli and Rohit Sharma are not playing, we have an established batting order of Yashasvi Shubman Gill, Yashasvi Jaiswal, number 3, number 4, and so on. So, but the moment you have Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli back in the team, then everyone has to go away from that key batting orders. Everyone has to step down a bit. Everyone has to adjust. Why create so much of a ghapla every time?
Yeah, I agree with you, because when you have such a scenario, it certainly upsets the rhythm in the team. Like you were saying, why treat only the key guys in the team and then neglect the others? I could say about so many cricketers like that. If they were given as many opportunities as Rohit or anybody else, they also would have been established. They would be even now on top of the game. Take KL Rahul for that instance. He might be failing now. He was performing so well. But unfortunately, they dabbled with him. They killed his confidence. But had they been, today everybody says KL Rahul is the player, KL Rahul is the batsman. Yes, he's not performed. But if you talk about the senior cricketers, they always refer KL Rahul as one of the best players. But what have we done to him today? He is devastated. He doesn't know where he is. He's batting at number 3, number 7, number 8. But then, as you rightly said, if some players are given that kind of a position, the younger guys also should be given. And he's just 32. And if you look at others who have just come into the team and they've just gone out, there's no consistency. As you said, each player should be given certain number of matches. They are comfortable, they come and score. But unfortunately, our domestic cricket does not get recognition. You might score 1,500 runs one season, but you still don't figure into the team. Yes, Sarfaraz Khan has been given a chance now. He's just getting into the groove. Similarly, if you look at, there are so many other cricketers. But as you said, when you talk about these two cricketers, especially Virat and Rohit, they are supposed to be setting an example. Like, I do agree, yes, they should be on the tour because we need them there in Australia, because Australia is going to be a different grind. But at the same time, you need to treat everybody on the same keel. You cannot have different strokes for different people, different players. So that is something which always been an issue with Indian cricket, because I've been part of this Indian cricket system for a very long time, understood if our domestic system, as we all talk about being so robust, if we really had it going the right way, selecting the right choices, I think we should be the champions for the next 20 years. And if we can't score 140 runs against a New Zealand team, which did not even have one of the best batsmen, Williamson, and lose to them, that's a question we need to ask. We need to ask our players, boss, forget it.
Absolutely.
You might be
Which is why these questions are being asked.
You can't score 140 runs to beat.
And which is why these questions are being asked. And these are not questions that are... these can't be washed away by just saying that, oh, they're great, they're exceptional players and they'll back themselves and they're still hungry and so and so. Ranjit, I'll come to you for the final question here. The unfortunate reality and the trend we have seen in Indian cricket, especially with the IPL here, we have seen that something which Ashwin had once pointed out, this cinema culture in Indian cricket. If you put out as an experiment one tweet criticizing both Rohit Sharma and Virat Kohli, you will have an army of Rohit Sharma fans saying that, why are you criticizing Rohit Sharma? Look at Kohli. And you will have an army of Kohli fans saying, why are you criticizing Kohli? Look at Rohit Sharma's performance here. Has that reached a point where somehow, I don't know whether that necessarily translates into the top management's will to take tough decisions here, but does that not make it difficult here when we literally start looking at our players as gods who can do no wrong?
And I think you've hit a very important point here. And that's what I think the selectors are doing. Because they are looking at the same army of trolls thinking that, oh my God, what if we drop this guy and this army of trolls forget about Rohit and this, they will all get after me. So, see, there has to be some sort of accountability in the top tier. That means we are now, this is not a normal club. You're not playing club cricket. You're playing for the nation. And you're playing at the most elite level of this game. And like in every elite level of every business or in politics, there has to be accountability. And accountability means that you have to answer for your questions. The amount of money which is spent, and trust me, 95% of that is public money, is spent on these things, really has to have some kind of a logic, because this same New Zealand team has just lost to Sri Lanka in Sri Lanka. And then they've come and thrashed us, which has never happened in the last 20 plus years. So there has to be some kind of accountability. Was there going to be any heads to be rolling for this? Or were there going to be any, only questions were raised and then we are waiting for the next debacle? So I think there has to be some set standard, like Hoover rightly said that the same standards have to be applied for all players. Doesn't matter who you are. because that's what's done in normal daily life. Doesn't matter who you are,
Exactly.
you're set. See, there are two things in life, results and reasons don't count.
Yeah. And if there's one team we should really look up to and learn from, it's the team we are going to play now. One thing I admire about the Australians is they don't get overwhelmed by the legacy of their players here. If a player is not performing, I remember Steve Waugh was sacked directly as captain as player when he was not performing, and no questions were asked as to whether that was the right decision or not. But nevertheless, I mean, it's maybe we are all overreacting. Who knows? We come up with a brilliant performance in BGT and all questions are forgotten. Let's hope that happens. But it's important to ask questions. No one should really be above question. No one should really be above any sort of accountability. Ranjit Bajaj, Nikhil Sharma and Joseph Hoover, thank you so much for joining me this Monday night for this important discussion.